I think Dan's back up again. Dan, your thoughts on that question?
I was saying the same thing 15 minutes ago that this is, it's hurting our perceived power. When we make empty threats, when we don't follow through, and if we get our ass kicked here, I think that really negatively impacts us moving forward.
And then another thing also, which can be, another issue, and I'm going to just go into a scenario here. Let's say Trump pulls out, right? Gulf states say, okay, look, guys, we're not going to let you rebuild your military bases. U.S. is probably not going to want to rebuild the military bases either, because that's going to be spend billions of dollars again to just have them blown up by the Iranians when they've already said that we're going to blow you up if you build again. So we're going to have to pull out the region. What that does is it creates an opportunity for the Chinese and the Russians. Like now, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, etc., Kuwait, they might say, you know what? Let's get the Chinese. The Chinese are pragmatic investors. They have maybe not the same military might as the U.S., but they're kind of the same. They get along with the Iranians. Let's bring them in for protection instead, right? They can have the military might without necessarily getting into wars. They're way less of a liability. So that almost creates an opportunity for China. And the thing that kills me is so many MAGA retards that I've talked with, they say, oh, Trump invading or Trump bombing Iran is an America first policy because it's 4D chess. And I say, how's it 4D chess? And they almost always respond, well, we're weakening China because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. We're weakening Russia, blah, blah. And I'm like, not really, because he thought this war was going to end soon, but it didn't. And now look at us. We're stuck in a quagmire. Chinese are still getting oil. Russian oil and gas have sanctions lifted. Iranian oil got sanctions lifted. So it's completely fucking backfired on our faces. So not only has this military blunder backfired on us, if we do get kicked out of the region, well, I think there's a high likelihood we will get kicked out of the region. This invites other adversarial powers to take our position that we're using to project power and go ahead and start negotiating with, not negotiate, start being able to create power projections in the region that we just got kicked out of. And then what's worse is, if you guys remember last year around the spring, Trump went ahead to the Middle East. It was actually his first foreign visit. And what did he do? He went to go secure, billions of dollars from the Gulf. And what ended up happening with that was, they invested a bunch of money. They might go ahead and pull their investments now at this point.
Yeah, I just want to welcome Ryan to the stage as well. Just to add to what you're saying, I think that with the Gulf states, I don't think they'll move towards China. But what will happen is, um, everyone believed that America inevitably, possibly could go to war with China in the future. And what China's done is essentially used Iran as a proxy. So just the way that NATO has used Ukraine as a proxy for the war against Russia, you basically make Iran do all the work you need to do to weaken America, so that possible war, if it did happen, won't happen in the future. So I think there's just so many benefits to Russia and China in this, never mind the financial benefit that Russia's got from this, that they basically are going to they may even force America into a long-term war, which is only going to benefit them. And this is what they want. They want America to be focused
Yeah,
in this region where they don't need to focus anywhere else.
I made a tweet on this. Let me see. Like, dude, the Russians fucking killed it, man. They made, let me look here. They made, as of yesterday or earlier this morning, 8.3 billion in
Yeah.
fossil fuels just in the first 2 weeks, dude.
Putin was
Incredible.
Putin was loving it today. He was talking about how much money they made. But
I
right,
think they made half of the money they spent on Ukraine at this point.
they've made a lot. I just want to welcome Ryan onto the stage as well. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Every day that I watch Tel Aviv burn is a good day.
So every day is good. Every day is a good day for you, then, Ryan.
This whole month has been glorious.
Do you wanna? Well, we got Dan here, Ryan. We got Myron here. I think everyone would love to hear some of your updates about what's going on.
Well, it's as I predicted when Trump said you had 48 hours. And remember, I was laughing. I'm like, why not 1 hour? He's not going to do anything. He's not going to touch their energy. But he painted himself in a corner. So now he has to be like, oh, we're doing a 5-day pause and I'm negotiating with the. Who are you talking to? He's just making this up and putting it on Truth Social. He's lying about everything. There are no negotiations. They're not going to be, because you attack them under the guise of negotiations twice. That's what these pedophiles did. They said, oh, we're going to talk about uranium, and then they attacked him. And they did that same play again and murdered the Ayatollah and blew up a school full of girls. So no one's talking to him. He was making threats that he couldn't back up. And now he's saying, oh, well, now it's not 48 hours. Now it's another 5 days. And I think they're going to negotiate. We've won. We whipped them. They have no Navy, no Air Force, no weapons, whatever, as they're shooting down your planes and blowing up Arad and hitting Dimona and shutting the lights off in Kuwait and running you out of Iraq so bad that you have to retreat to Jordan and Hezbollah taking over Haifa. Yeah, everything's going great. And the UAO, the United Arab Oligarchs, are having a very hard time because their ports are shut down, the tourism's zero, real estate's plummeting like 50%. It isn't coming back. The refineries have been physically destroyed. They're years out just to get back to where they were. And it looks like there's going to be a permanent toll booth on the Strait of Hormuz, the same way there is on the Suez Canal and Panama Canal. And they might put one out there in Aden too to tax the Red Sea because they can.
And Ryan, what's the update in terms of Hezbollah? There's so much glorious videos coming out of Merkava tanks being taken out, Israelis being clapped.
You just want me to say it, right?
Of course, of course, I love getting you in here to just give me the words I want to hear.
Yeah, it's it's the same. Look, I don't. Well, these low IQ inbred God's chosen lunatics just don't learn. You'd think after the Merkava tanks get cracked with Cornet missiles and then anti-tank personnel, and then they go and hit the rescue teams and stuff, that they'd quit doing that. And you'd think after their staging areas are repeatedly harassed by rockets and drones that they wouldn't all bunch up like that over and over again, but they keep doing it anyway, and they keep getting the same result. But it's probably Bedouin cannon fodder anyway. Most of the anybody with a six-figure salary or more is in Cyprus or further away. They've all run. They can't flee south like they did before because the south is also getting hit. So they're going completely leaving Israel. Ben Gurion shut down. Haifa's lost. Haifa port is lost. Power plant's lost. Iliad is closed. They lost all 3 ports. They're losing dozens of tanks every day. They can't get into Lebanon. They tried coming in from the east because they are welcome in Syria since they gave Syria to Al Qaeda. That also failed. All they can really do is kill civilians in Beirut, flying way above head with standoff munitions. And they're running out of those too, and blow up Beirut. Lebanon doesn't have the air defense that Iran has. That is one weak point, but they've got ground forces and they're not. It's not only going bad there. Hezbollah's in Iraq too now. So are former SAA fighters from Syria, and there with their expertise. They've blown up Victoria in Baghdad. They blew up the U.S. embassy in Baghdad. And let me explain. The U.S. embassy in Baghdad is not an embassy. It's a city.
Thank you, Nuran says so much MAGA retards at work. I know, bro. So many of them. Stupid as fuck.
Myron, you're muted. So let me mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad, dude. My bad.
No worries. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. Anyway, the embassy in Baghdad is not like one building. It's a giant complex. It's a fortress. It's a base that they call an embassy. Doesn't matter. It's on fire. They're getting pushed out of Iraq. Erbil's been destroyed. I love looking at the aerial photos of Kuwait. It looks like North Korea. There's no lights. What else? Oh, and they're being hit in Saudi Arabia as well. Like that's where a lot of the rats went to the Prince Sultan Air Base. That's where those refuelers got destroyed. Another F-15 was blown out of the sky above Kuwait. No, it was not hit by friendly fire. No, it wasn't just a female pilot, although, 50-50 there. It's being hit by Iranian air defense. So this is what I said when they're like, oh, look, their air defense sucks. The Chinese and Russian stuff sucks. I'm like, no, it doesn't. The standoff munitions that America has is the best. The Tomahawks and glide bombs and things, but they've run out. So you can JDAM and jazz them, but you risk getting your plane shot. They even had an F-35, which is the newest thing they got, the most stealthy, allegedly, aviation equipment they have. That got tagged. And so they're not being able to hit targets as deep inside Iran. The Marine invasion didn't happen. I told you they're not going to Karg Island. They might try to take Greater Tumd, which it used to be part of the United Arab Oligarchs, but it's Iranian now. They might try and take that back and declare W and leave. It's in the Gulf of Oman. Good luck. You're most likely just going to get destroyed. I can tell you what they ought to do, but I don't want to help them. I know something the U.S. could do in Baluchistan that might work, but why help the enemy,
Never.
right? The best thing though
Get the
ever is like
Balok's fight.
Israel's complaining to the UN about cluster munitions. They're like, "Are you serious? You didn't even sign that treaty because you use clusters yourself and white phosphorus and
Yeah,
every
how
other
about
form of
I
collective
keep calling
punishment."
them out on that. What about all the fucking white phosphorus they've been using, and they've used cluster munitions as well? It's like the hypocrisy of it is so crazy.
Well, they use MK77, MK86, and all these things that are banned. It's like, shut up, Israel! Like you shoot people going to get food, you hit food trucks. You blow up doctors.
They
You
just
raided
tortured a
hospitals in the
one-year-old
West Bank
child.
and stabbed injured people in their beds. Like get bent.
They just tortured a 1-year-old child. So like their level
Ryan,
Yeah,
of
put cigarettes out on his skin
exactly.
and tortured this in front of his father. Like this is they do this out of spite. Like we're gonna torture babies because they love to destroy the innocent.
yeah,
Uh,
Ryan, when
uh
you're talking about the Balok's, are you because obviously the Balok's they kind of use them as a proxy or whatever against the government. And I know John Dola I think is non-existent anymore, but I think they got something called the BLA now, Balok Liberation Association, whatever the hell. Um,
it's got to know, but it's pronounced Baluch. It's Baluchistanis in
okay.
eastern, southeastern Iran.
So
I don't
do
want
you
to
think
say what it
using
is.
them
It's not
again?
Jandala. It's something else. I know what the U.S. could do, but I'm not going to help them.
I'm sure the war
They are
planners have
just
probably
falling.
thought
They
about
are
it.
failing on every metric. It's beautiful, and the rest of the world's like, look at NATO. They're like, I don't think the U.S. can protect us. Not now. They blew their whole wad trying to save Israel. They got a few interceptors in Turkey and Diego Garcia and stuff. They didn't use everything, but the Gulf has nothing left. Israel has nothing left. Israel's being hit by rockets. Okay, there's a big difference between a rocket and a missile. They're getting hit by rockets. That means either they have no radar or they have no interceptors or
Yeah, Ryan,
both.
I'm on stream right now. My chat wants to know what it is. Got thousands of people watching right now. They want to know what it is. If you don't mind saying it, man.
I think they don't have any radar because they kept reporting all the ones they blew up. And you can see at the beginning of the war, the fanciest radar, the $1.1 billion radar in Qatar and the other $300 million one in Jordan were the first things hit. So I think they're blind. They have no eyes and ears. So whatever interceptors they have left, because you think they got to have some Iron Dome and some PAC-2s or some of the trashy stuff, right? They're not even firing. And the reason I think it's radar is also because the
Wait, with the
early warning
Balok's?
system that, no, I'm talking about in northern Israel still. They don't have they're not running to the shelters because they're not being warned, and that means they don't have radar. Because they would at least do the sirens and tell them the yids to go run in the basement or whatever, and they're not even doing that.
Also, they'll also with Arad they'll probably have less defense interceptor missiles in for those specific locations because they'll have seen it as a low risk location. Whereas with the Demona, that is a high risk location. So the fact that they've hit that, they would have a huge amount of defense interceptor missiles. So the fact that that's hitting basically adds to your point, Ryan, that this is just demonstrating that they've got
Yeah,
no.
and they may have used one of those new Mirage drones on Demona. I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm not gonna verify it, but that may have been what that was, which they can't detect anyway unless they start pulling out the old long radar, which they threw away. It's so stupid. The U.S. got rid of 4 minesweepers in January. They're not closing the strait with mines yet, but they can. They got rid of them. The only ally the U.S. has with proper naval minesweepers is Japan, who's constitutionally forbidden from using them. By the way, lowest inflation, 1.3.
Ryan,
Takaichi is kicking ass over there.
Ryan, the people in my chat are asking about the Balok stuff. I know you don't want to reveal it, but I'm sure there's plenty Pentagon planners that have had the idea as well. Can you, because we got literally a bunch of people in here watching. What do you think the Balok plan would be if the U.S. were to utilize them?
No, the Baluchistan, fuck them. Like they're, I'm not. I don't care what your chat thinks. I'm not helping America and Israel.
And guys, by the way, and so it's Ryan in terms of
Ryan, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole, bro, but I'm sure that there's Pentagon planners that literally have the same idea and they might be trying to do it or not doing it because there's something else you might have not foreseen. It's not like there's not Pentagon planners that know
Okay, well
what's
the
up.
thing is, why the reason I even brought it up at all is because when they're
Come on,
saying,
man.
"Look, we're going to take the Boxer and the Tripoli, and we're going to go to Karg Island and blah," that's a play fake. You don't say we're going to this place at this time in this ship with this many Marines, unless that's a play action. Like that's the diversion. That ain't where they're going. They're going over to the eastern side. which is way more doable, way easier to get a foothold. You have resistance there, at least be neutral to you. You don't want to be stuck on an island that deep where you have to transport aquatically through the Strait of Hormuz, go through all the land batteries. It's such a stupid plan. No one in the Pentagon is that dumb. There's no way.
So you're saying invade via the Pakistan border, or
No, not the Pakistan border. It's a play fake. It's north of the Gulf of Oman. There is a vulnerable spot in Iran, away from urban areas. It only has one airstrip. It is vulnerable. You have a population that in the past has risen up. You could get.
yeah?
There is a thing. I don't want to explain. There's a thing that they could do, but I don't think so. But I'm just saying, if that is the plan, they're not going to Karg Island, and I don't think they're going to Greater Tomb, and I don't think they're going to try to take any of these islands inside the Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Oman, and because Iran does not have a blue water navy. That area in southeast Iran is the only vulnerable-ish part, and it still wouldn't be easy. But if all this talk of Marines, if they were going to say they're going to go to A and then do B, obviously, like why would you announce your plans? Even Trump's not that stupid. I think they had to announce some kind of plans though to calm the market panic and be like, "Don't worry, we're going to do this. We're going to get the strait open." Here's the thing: the strait's already open from people who don't resort to violence. To Japan, to India, to Russia, to China, their ships are allowed to load up with oil and leave. It won't make up for everything they lost from the Gulf, but it is a lifeline. And that's, all you have. I think Korea and Vietnam are negotiating now. So oil will continue to go east. It's not going to Europe, other than maybe Greece. It isn't going to Europe. And Russia said the same thing. Like, yeah, we can sell gas and oil to the Europeans, but we're not doing this temporary stuff because you're in dire straits. So now you want to buy from us. We want long-term guarantees. Otherwise, we have some very thirsty customers the other direction, and they're already supplying Japan with oil, and Korea with coal, and they're willing to sell to the east, with China especially. Russia can do that, but they did tell the Europeans, like, look, we can work with you, we can sell for you, but we're not going to do this short-term stuff. And so Europe is really screwed. As long as they're siding with America, who's losing the war, at least they had enough sense not to send the Navy to the Strait where they would just get sunk. So they're going to have to
Yeah,
negotiate with Russia, and they're going to have to give them
Back
long-term
you up
guarantees.
100. Yeah, Ryan, thank you, sir. Back what Ryan Dawson just said, militarily speaking, U.S. Navy tactics, and that he's 150% correct. Back him up 150% on that, Ryan. You got
I
that.
think you figured out the other plan, but don't say. I'm just saying Iran does have a vulnerable spot. They do.
Yeah, Myron.
Right now,
Myron.
But what I
Look,
disagree
guys,
is I don't
I gotta
think the
be honest.
Americans
I gotta
know.
be honest, bro. Everything that we would talk about right now, I guarantee you, Pentagon planners already know. They have higher clearances than us. They got boots on the ground. They know more than any of us. So I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like this
They
main character energy is
consistently
nuts.
do not know what I know all the time.
Come on, Ryan.
They are that stupid.
They've been making a lot of mistakes in this war.
Especially Trump's people. They think they're going to bring back Jesus. Like, these people are retarded.
Here's the thing, dude. Again, they probably know what you know, but of course they're not rational. They're like, we want war. We want to go ahead and do it. So, like, I'm not saying that. My thing is, I guarantee you, they probably know what you know, but they're just not going with it because that's a rational way to go and could potentially de-escalate the conflict.
It's worse than that. They don't want to do what's effective. They want to do what is personally profiteering for themselves, whatever they can make the most money on, not what's going to work.
Refute the fact that they know it too. I guarantee you, the Pentagon planners know exactly what you are talking about as well, because they have access to significantly more classified information. So give the people what they want, man. Tell them what you think it's going to be.
I don't think so. I think these people learned, like, the Krag Island thing came from a video game. These people look at their campaign in Ukraine. Look at the summer offense that they did, where their tanks are just getting blown up left and right. Like, they're not smart. They do have access to these things, but Trump's not listening to the smart ones, or he fires them. They are absolutely that stupid.
I agree with you, Ryan. I think that they may have it in their briefing in terms of possible
Let me
targets,
prove
but I
how
don't think they're going to
stupid
go
they
ahead
are.
and do it.
Where is the Tripoli coming from that they're going to pack with Marines? Where did it come from? Okinawa.
Seventh
Japan.
Fleet, sir.
Yeah.
Seventh Fleet asset.
They had to bring it all the way over from Okinawa. Now, like, why wasn't that already in place before you started the war? because they didn't anticipate any of this. They really thought they'd kill the Ayatollah, it would crumble, and they are making stuff up as they go along. They did not have contingency plans. This isn't Bruce Wayne. These are Christian retards, and they don't know what they're doing at all. And everybody who with the brain has quit because they're like, I'm sick of talking to the wall. And they retire. They resign. They're like, I'm out of here. I can't talk to these people. I get it.
Well, Ryan, even worse than the Seventh Fleet asset. Why are they moving look at this, why are they moving a Third Fleet asset Boxer halfway around the world, which is insane.
Yes.
Why
Yeah.
is the Boxer
And then they're counting Marines and sailors together as if they're all Marines. They're like, no, they're not. And then they're like, oh, we'll send the 82nd Airborne in. I'm like, that's not enough. Like, it's Mr. Miyagi thing, do it or don't. In the middle of Squish Like Grape, you're doing grapes.
So, Ryan, do you feel like, I'm sorry, Suleiman.
No, go for it, Cassie.
Thank you.
So why would you get rid of 4 minesweepers right before the war? How? Who made that decision? They're dumb.
They are.
Why would you invade Lebanon? Why would you invade Lebanon after you basically failed to invade it so many times? Why would you try and invade from the east? Why would you try and invade from the south? Like every single decision they made has been so horrible that they've actually, they'll definitely be war gamed some of these things out and said, look, plan A, these are all possibilities. But unfortunately, what happens is they end up taking the worst decisions because they've got horrible decision makers in there. Like Pete Hegseth is an example of someone who didn't earn his way up to the top. He was just given it as a Fox presenter. So
that's a perfect example because they did do war games, and this is exactly what happened, and they didn't adjust.
Exactly, I agree. And guys, we're live on X, we're live on YouTube, the Tweets in the Nest if you want to listen on YouTube as well. We do stream every single day on YouTube, and we pull out videos every single day with great interviews with so many awesome guests. So the Tweets in the Nest if you want to follow the YouTube. Ryan, another question for you. In terms of from the from the American perspective, you mentioned that the Saudis have been the UAE question was what I was going to ask you. So you know
the
what my
UAO.
Ryan, you know what my question is going to be.
Excuse me, it's the United Arab Oligarchs.
It is I wouldn't even say oligarchs, like the monarchs, bro. But in terms of them, they came out yesterday quite aggressively stating that they attacked Iran. They talked about how they want to join the war in a more offensive manner. I mean, I don't think they could do anything, but why would they make such a bold statement?
What are they going to do? Throw digital coins at them? What does the UAE have offensively? Nothing.
Russian chicks.
Yeah. Didn't the pervert that owns OnlyFans just die of a drug overdose?
Of cancer, I think it was.
Yes, sir.
He did die today.
He was only like 43 years old.
And he funded the IDF as well. And he's Jewish.
And APAC. There's $11 million disappearing to APAC.
Well, they'll have one of their boys replacing him as well. So Dan's glitched out, but he's been glitching out and coming back all the time. So that girl. Oh, you got a question for Ryan anyway, that girl. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and thank you. So, Ryan, real quick, and anybody on the panel, or Suleiman, you can answer too. Like, I see that they're bringing in some troops or something, possibly to the ground. It feels like a suicide mission. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that it's like, do you think it's just basically just like using them as guinea pigs? What are they doing? I mean, it feels like a literal, let's throw away human beings. So what do you guys think of that? Like, what is the...
Yeah, it's like that cannot be the real plan. Like, I can't imagine anybody that dumb, not even them. So it's got to be some... even Trump's like, why would you tell them what you're about to do? He's saying everything he's going to do, what boats they're going to be on, where they're attacking, and what the numbers are. So I think that's false. Like, they're saying that and they're going to do something else. But regardless, if you attack any area with 5,000 guys, that's total. You need like 300,000, not 5,000. It isn't. You're just going to die.
I mean, I guess, and I'll just add this as like a part of the question. I guess because they're so dumb, and they are dumb. I mean, the fact that we're even in this war is completely bizarre. They're not prepared. I mean, they were shocked that killing the Ayatollah didn't make this vacuum for this regime change. any one of us could have told him that that was not going to happen. I'm not a geopolitical expert. I'm a nurse, for crying out loud, and I could have told him that all of this was going to happen. But anyway, so maybe you think they're dumb enough to say, hey, we're just going to do this thing to say that, hey, we at least tried troops on the ground before we escalate to like something else. Because I still feel like they're going to try it, because everything they're doing is dumb, because we shouldn't be there. I mean, the whole thing is dumb, period.
They are obsessed with this old Rumsfeld doctrine of air war and special forces, which might work, fighting Saddam's army that just got over 10 years of sanctions and a war with Iran and was, already defeated. And we lost soldiers in that war too, thousands. It's just, you you can't just send in the Marines and be like, oh, like they'll take a beach air. Like, dude, this isn't Hollywood. Okay, you don't have the numbers. They're dug in. They know you're coming. You can't make big arrow moves in the age of satellites and stuff, and they absolutely are getting intelligence from China or Russia or both. It will fail. It is a stupid plan. If you try to amass more, they'll hit you in your staging area phase, as the Israelis are getting smacked right now, and they're right next to them, right? It's just you can't do it. You can't muster ground forces. That's what you would have needed, but you would have needed them in place before you bombed them from the air, which you did not do. So this thing is FUBAR. You're just wasting money and lives and wrecking the world economy, except for Russia and maybe Azerbaijan, the only two benefactors, And that wasn't on purpose. It's not like some plan like, oh yeah, well, like Simon probably said, well, the Russian donors must be controlled because everyone's making money. Like, no, it's just a consequence of their stupidity and having the strait closed. They thought they could get it open. They can't. Trump thought if we destroy the Iranian Navy that the strait would be open. It's like, dumbass, the strait's closed because of batteries on the land that can sink ships, not because of the Navy, you retard. Because nobody informing him of what's going on. He's just making stuff up. He wholesale just lied and said, I talked to the top guy, no name, from Iran. They're like, who is this? Oh, I can't tell you because they'll assassinate him. But I'm talking to the top guy and they're ready to make a deal. And we're going to put this, mutual destruction of energy on hold for 5 days. Not a word of that is true. He didn't talk to anybody. They're not getting rid of a nuclear program because they never had one in the first place. Like, all the stuff he said, he's just making stuff up. I think he's got dementia and he's got no one around him, and it's his own fault. He won't let anyone get near him other than Kushner and Witkoff and Levine and ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. And they don't know anything about war. These are real estate Yankees from New York. They're like, maybe we could do this. They're like playing with stuff on a map like a bunch of kids. There's no admiral. There's no generals. I guess Kane, who was a 3-star, they just made him a 4-star, and he criticized Trump, and then they started ignoring him too. Like, the serious people aren't being heard. And you can go back, you can go listen to like Judge Napolitano, for example, like Scott Ritter, Larry Johnson, Ray McGovern, Colonel Wilkerson, myself, a whole list, Matt Ho, We all said, they're Pepe Escobar, they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to run out of interceptors. This is everything that's happening now was said months ago. Pepe and I said this many years ago. Yes, they can close the Strait of Hormuz. The freaking Houthis closed the Red Sea by themselves. Just Yemen. Okay? Yeah, Iran can hold that strait as long as it wants. And you're lucky they haven't closed the Red Sea yet. They have 400,000 fighters in Yemen that are not active yet.
Yeah.
You have to just while you have any leverage left, just capitulate to demands. Say, okay, you get a toll, we'll pay some reparations, we get out of the Middle East. Because Iran is not going to allow U.S. bases adjacent to their country. And these Gulf Arabs, if they had half a brain, which is questionable, would realize we are less safe by having U.S. bases here. If you didn't have the U.S. there, no one would be attacking you.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there is so true. I mean, this is why I'm saying, like, I'm a nurse figuring this out, because Suleiman has been saying it on his spaces. He's been saying all of this stuff is going to happen. So this is how, like, I, again, as a non-geopolitical expert, knew what was coming in around, because remember Suleiman was doing the spaces before the attack, because they kept saying they're going to attack, and we were talking about it, and Suleiman was saying that these things would happen. So I don't know why they didn't. They could have listened to the space and they would have had the answers. There's that.
But yeah, he was saying it. I was on the space and saying it with them. Like this. Not only are they going to attack, but this is what will happen when they attack. Spelled the whole thing out. You look at the gear that each side has, and this is all predictable consequence. Like, yeah, they're going to hit the Gulf states. Oh, of course, they have to. There's bases there. They're not going to allow them to sit there, and those bases are vulnerable. And Bahrain and Iraq, it's over. I'd add Kuwait to that too. Bahrain, Iraq, and Kuwait, you're gone. You're not coming back. You got Qatar. Qatar's not being hit as much because they told the U.S. leave, and they did. So they're like, look, they don't have beef with these Gulf states other than the fact that they abet America's crimes. But the UAO is just, I don't know. They're like suicidal. Like, what are you doing? You understand? You're losing this. There's nothing you can do. Like, you need to get it with the winning team, and they're just sticking with America. And America doesn't care about them. They only care about Israel. And the faster they figure that out, the better. But if they're too slow to notice, then they're going to lose their wealth, and it's not coming back.
And Ryan, we over and over we've been hearing, oh, what's this? America's not going to just back down like that. They're going to put up a fight. No, people don't realize, and I know you can weigh in on this. It's already happened, past tense. The United States has already removed its footprint from the Persian Gulf. The Fifth Fleet no longer exists. We might as well erase the Fifth Fleet. It does not exist. It's just scattered, and they're drawing assets from the Third and Seventh Fleet, which is very irregular at the last minute. So it's game over for the U.S. forces afloat forward projection for forward projection.
And I think there was mutiny on the Gerald Ford because of those fires. So if you realize they had the toilet problem before any shots were fired, the people on that ship, they've been out there for like a month. They're over it. And so that's had
No,
to
they've
go
been out
back
there for a
through the
year.
Mediterranean.
They've been out for a year.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah, 10, it's almost a year. They're pushing 10, 11 months. And having done one almost 11-month deployment myself, believe me, you get to month number 9, it weighs heavily on the psychological, physical. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
we're
there's
going to
no
be
doubt
out here
there was an
another
uprising.
6 months or whatever because this could go.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
I did a month on a
exactly.
naval boat, and it was a long fucking time. So usually you sail across the Pacific or the Atlantic or whatever. You stop in a port and you stay there for a while. Just staying out at sea for extended durations is fucking brutal on those ships.
Yeah,
I've been
for
on a
almost a
boat
year.
for
Yep, exactly.
24 hours, like fishing trips, and I'm ready to go. And I've been on a submarine for about 3 hours, and I was ready to get out. I can't imagine a year.
Exactly. And whether that happened, there's no doubt that there was we'll call it an uprising. There was probably a tremendous amount of, I'll call it malcontents. But trust me, the military chain of command, that was shut down fast. The problem is the NCOs, the backbone of our Navy, and I know we've talked about this. I've talked about this with NCOs. They are under tremendous stress to quell it, to put it under extreme discipline. But here's the problem: that commanding officer now has a big problem in his hand, and that carrier got hit. We know it did, and now he's up there. He's saying, "I'm combat ineffective. I have a major crew morale problem. I'm now combat ineffective." So exactly, and it's just terrible. It's embarrassing, but hey, I want to speak the truth. I love my Navy. My God knows I've served my whole adult life, full career, but I don't want my Navy to be destroyed by further destruction by a madman.
Yeah, and it's not designed to fight land batteries. Only the quality or the full fights the fort or whatever the phrase is. It's there to sink other ships and to transport stuff and to serve as like artillery and defense. Like, you don't go into a strait with guns all over the place and what, start escorting slow moving oil tankers. Like, this isn't real life. Like, this is just something you said to dumb investors. Be like, oh, okay, so oil's gonna be free soon. Like, no, it's not until you surrender.
Exactly.
You don't even need, like, you can't even do jammers or anything because they can spot those with optics alone. Just binoculars and trigonometry, and they can hit those ships. And what are you gonna go find that in the mountains? Like, you cannot get that straight open other than to agree with Iran. And after this war is over, I don't see why they have any reason to allow free flow of traffic. They're like, no, there's a toll booth now. and that's
Also,
just
there's
how it
no way
is.
they can take anything. They can't take the Strait. They can't take the Karaga Island. They can't take any other way. There's no way of getting to Iran, which is going to succeed successfully. It's just way too difficult.
Yeah, you're not going across the Zagros Mountain. You're not coming from the west, and you're not coming from the north.
And
Just
and
not
even
happening.
even what you were mentioning, because I thought about that. Even I think that's too difficult as well, personally. But
It's well, the thing is, America's not committed. The American public doesn't want this
they'd
war.
have to be willing.
If Trump's approval rating is like 15%, so they're not going to stomach the
Exactly.
level of casualties you would need to get it
100%
done.
agree.
Like America does have the firepower. If they want to lose like 50,000 soldiers, they could get in
That
there.
yeah, that
But
I agree
that's
with.
not happening.
So if you're willing to basically consume a huge amount of life, then the option that you're referring to, because I did think about this because I've been like planning all this out. I thought like, nah, that's just way too much loss of life. They're not gonna do it. It's not possible. And they've only sending right. They're only sending like what 3,000 to 5,000 people. It's just impossible. All of these options are impossible. The Straits impossible. The Hormuz Islands are impossible. Every single one is just not impossible, but either it's impossible to take and then keep hold of for a very long period of time, which is what they're going to need. And somehow, how they're going to deflect the missiles, the drones that come from Iran, it just simply makes no sense whatsoever. They've got no logical way of doing what they're doing, and this is just going to be epic failure, irrespective of what solution they go for.
Plus, their allies are like, we're not on board with that. We saw Japan just negotiate their way into getting oil without firing a shot. I think I'm going to do that.
Exactly. Although the UK did send a nuclear powered submarine, I believe, or was it a nuclear powered vessel to the region as well. But again, the public won't stomach it, but it just depends on how harsh Trump gets in terms of force and leverage to make sure that these countries basically jump in and support. But it seems like none of them are willing to do so.
That sub's probably doing circles around Diego Garcia. It's not clear that Iran hit that from Iran. They could have hit that from the sea. They don't know where those shots came from or
Well, they
what the
rejected.
distance.
They said it wasn't them, and they haven't lied at the moment.
Yeah.
They've always told the truth whenever they've done it because they've got no reason to lie. They could just be like, "Yeah, we hit Diego Garcia. The Brits are involved. You're using it." They would just say it. They've been hitting South. They hit Saudi Arabia today. They admitted it. They hit
Yeah, they
Dubai,
could
and they
hit
admitted it.
Saudi Arabia, but Diego Garcia, I'm like, oh, the propaganda came right after. Look, they could hit any European capital. I'm like, well, even if they could,
Even if they could, so what?
they have not attacked anybody who didn't attack them.
Exactly. And for me, it's not even an issue if they could hit it, which again is up in the air because in reality, as you said, they've only ever done it defensively. And if they were to, and what it does is it tells the European countries, look, don't get involved. They're not going to hit you, but if you do get involved, then you're going to feel the pain. So if anything, I don't even see that as a negative, Ryan.
It's them throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. They're like, oh, we'll threaten your European capital. It's like the Saddam is in 47 minutes could hit you with VX gas and anthrax. Remember that? They're going to bomb London. They know he couldn't and he wouldn't. And yeah, they're desperate, which shows they really just don't have a plan. We're going to blow up your energy. Like, you're not, because just do it then. Don't announce it. He's making these ultimatums to try and calm the market. Be like, don't worry, we're going to like say, unless you open, then we'll destroy all your oil. And they're going to open.
But
Everyone's
he
like,
calmed the markets
yeah.
by saying that they're not, right? Like when after, so this is something that's really interesting. There was an anonymous trader that executed 1.5 billion in long S&P and 192, roughly around that much in the short oil futures, like
Was his
minutes.
name Baron Trump?
So look, that's what I'm
Sorry.
wondering because the person did it within minutes of oh, everything's great. We got productive conversations, right? Which Iran obviously was like, no, we haven't even talked to them. So, and it's crazy because Trump hasn't posted about this again at all. And there's obviously been strikes, that's happened since then. So this person ended up minutes before, like they had to be in the same room with him to know that he was going to
Lutnick?
say
No.
that, right? Right. That's who I
Yeah,
think.
they're going to do insider trading because that is the nature of these people. They can't help themselves. The only real actions he's took that does lower oil is lifting sanctions on Russia and Iran, and then Iran allowing like India and Japan to get their oil. That will lower the price a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Like if it goes from 59 to 111 and then it goes down to 83, you're still up more than 30 points. Like you're going from 29 points or more. It's still up. It's floating between 80s, 90s, whatever. So like, yeah, allowing Russian oil to flow at a premium price, by the way, does increase supply, and so that will lower the price some. But you just cannot make up for around a quarter of all the gas and LNG that came from the Gulf. Even if Iran starts selling its own oil, it doesn't have as much as Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Bahrain and Qatar and UAE combined. There's a huge chunk, and there's nothing they can do other than end the war. And even then, a lot of this stuff is going to be offline for a long time. And it's just going to get worse. And he's doing it all for Israel. It's like, why are you here? Because Israel started a war. You didn't ask their navy to open the strait. You asked Korea and Japan and China, and you didn't ask the Israelis. They're the ones that started the war. They're the ones that have the problem with Iran. These other countries were buying oil from Iran anyway. He just doesn't, like, they need to rein him in. And they need to be like, get rid of Lutnick and Witkoff and Kushner and all these Zionist Jews that are in your ear and talk to a human being who can set them straight. Like, sir, this is what you're doing. This is what you're about to do. Here's how you get out of it.
First of all, it was disrespectful anyway for them to send out Kushner and Wickoff to negotiations with Iran. I mean, if you really think about it, what type of experience did they even have to make these kind of huge negotiations? And look at where we are in this war. So those were not the people who should have went in the first place from the first time that they ever went. By the way, guys, real quick, please don't forget to hit the to like the stream, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel. The link is up there, and definitely like the stream, hit the notification bell, retweet and reshare the space. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for saying that. I just shared it because I hadn't done that. I just shared it on mine. You're right. Witkoff and Kushner don't belong negotiating anything. I wouldn't hire these people as Walmart greeters. No offense to Walmart greeters, but I wouldn't do that. And it's embarrassing if you think of like Brent Scrokoff, James Baker. Like, at least these were statesmen. Even Henry Kissinger, evil as he was, can't call him dumb. But when you get to Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, especially. They're morons. That was the middleman between Eitan Wertheimer and Bernard Kerik on September 11th. He also worked openly with Antolia Galupchik and all these mob figures like Tony Salerno stuff. The guy ought to be in prison. Charles Kushner did go to prison. His son so far hasn't, but like they're criminals. They don't know what they're doing. Remember when they went to the Ukraine and he couldn't name the Oblast? He didn't even know the Oblast and the Donetsk, what they were called. So how can you be serious about any kind of negotiation with Luhansk and Donetsk and when you don't even know their names this long into the war? Because it was never serious. And these negotiations with Iran were nothing but stalling tactics so they could hit them with periphery. Like they knew there was no nuclear program. That was just something to say to the public. This war has been planned for 40 years. It's on the list. They're like, we're going to Iraq, Libya, Syria, and then we're hitting Iran. It's for Israeli interests. They want land annexation and ethnic cleansing, and Iran doesn't let them do it. The U.S. should have learned when it had that 7-week war with Yemen that he just said we won and left, but they kept firing missiles at Israel anyway and kept the Red Sea closed. They should have learned right then. The finding out phase should have happened, but they didn't. They are arrogant and hubris, classic traits of 109, and they're getting their just desserts. I love this comeuppance. I don't like that they bombed a school full of girls, but that's what they do. And they're raiding the West Bank and they're bombing people in Beirut. All that side of the war is horrible. But if you look at it with a really callous, cold, mathematical view, in the long run, this is a net positive. There was no way to solve the problem of the empire other than to physically take it to them and destroy them. I gotta say, I love the Iran's new zoning laws in Arad, in Israel, just below the West Bank. They that was supposed to be Israel's new Silicon Valley. Now it's just a valley. Love it.
That's hilarious.
It is. It is hilarious. I did a dance. I got out of my chair and did a jig. I was like, this is the best ever. They invested so much money in this smart city, and now it's just smoke. And they're all there with their somber faces, like, this is what we go through as Israelis. You brought this on yourself, you fucking child raping maniacs.
Ryan, I believe that the first MEU is going to be arriving at the weekend. If you were to ascertain what you call it again, when he'll start whatever plan he's got, when do you see that happening?
I have to look at that. Like, I've been wasting so much time watching Hezbollah missling tanks, but I'll get into that. And me and you can do an update on YouTube, perhaps, on that one.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And Ryan, in terms of because we've got a lot of people in here, so it's really worth going through this. What's your from your perspective, where do you think the next few days go? Not in terms of that, but generally speaking, the next few days just gonna be the more of the same in the next 5 days, or what?
Well, Iran's putting out the big missiles now, so yeah, they're gonna hit. They're gonna hit that area in Israel, Dimona, and the more on Haifa. Pound that all day. Clusters on Tel Aviv. I think they pretty much finished off Kuwait, so you're going to start seeing more attacks in Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is running its mouth. Some more of that. I think they will continue to shoot down U.S. aircraft. I think there'll be a slowdown on the target packages in Iran itself because they don't have as many standoff munitions. So you're starting to see. At first, Iran has had more people die. They've been bombed more, whatever. But strategically, not significant targets. Whereas the U.S. and Israel have been losing their radar, they've been losing their interceptors, they've been losing things conducive to war, their airfields, their ports, power, and so on. I don't think they are. I think they learned not to touch and mess around with energy anymore. And so back to military targets, they're going to clean up the rest of Iraq, push them down into Jordan, and start hitting Saudi Arabia. They're not ready to slam Jordan quite yet. For the next coming days, you'll see more hits in Saudi Arabia and more hits in the UAO. And Trump is just going to whine and kvetch and complain and try and find some way out of this. And the Israelis they're going to get smacked in the north. And unfortunately, they're probably going to kill more civilians in Beirut. But that's how Israel operates.
No doubt, no doubt. And just from a perspective of the Strait, many people. One of the conversations we were having was whether they'd use the mines in the Strait. Do you think that? Do you think they would do that or not?
We can have the remotely activated mines. You don't want to mine a strait that you and India and Japan and Russia are using. You don't want to hit your own ships. So you'd have to have the smart mines that you can decide what they land. But they don't really need to mine it yet. Everyone's talking about mine and minesweepers. The shore batteries are alone, as well as just attacks from drones, are enough. Oil tankers are big and slow. You don't need to put mines everywhere just yet. So.
I agree.
I think that's I don't think that's the issue. They have mines, but they're not. You're not even that far yet along yet. They can't resolve the problem of the shore batteries and drones. So you can. Those mines are expensive. They don't need to use them yet.
I agree. I was explaining that to my audience. Like, why would you put the mines in first? First of all, you can't use the normal mines because it just harms you. And then the smart mines, it's basically, as you said, costly, and it's just not like if you look at it from a utility perspective, it makes no sense. Like the amount of cost you're putting in, the amount of time and effort to get it right is just not worth it when you can hit it anyway.
To hit a tanker, a drone's enough. They're already full of oil. It makes its own fireball, so you don't need that big payload.
Exactly, I agree. And just bringing in from the Saudi perspective, I know they were hit quite hard today. Their bases. How much more harder are they going to start hitting those oil bases?
They need to hit that harder than Lindsey Graham with a hamster.
So very hard.
They've been very measured, actually. Like that's my. I want them to hit it harder, but I don't think they will. I think Iran knows the clock is on their side, and incrementally, they're watching. It's like they got the bullies out of wind, and they're just like slapping them instead of punching them. It's actually more indignant. Just like I can do whatever I want. You're toast. But they're giving them every off ramp. They're like, you're doing this to yourself. And they're showing the population that too. It's like, look, we gave your leader an out. They didn't take it. Oh, we gave them another out. They didn't take it. This is going to make them very angry in the future. And it's destroying the political careers of all these people after the fact too. This is Iran, man. They're high IQ and they're fighting people with IQs in the 80s. That's what happens.
Well, I think you're exaggerating a bit there. If you're saying the Gulf states have an IQ of 80, um, the only way they get IQ of an 80 if they've got them made to take the test for them. But in terms of coming back to your specific question, your point, Ryan, when you look at specifically the Strait of Hormuz, and you look at the stranglehold that Iran has on it, the fact that Trump has made this kind of, I don't know, demand, it's quite clear that he needs the strait open. And so he's trying to take something in order to leverage it. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, if he does attempt any form of ground invasion, whether it's the idea that you think is the best, whether it's the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's the Hormuz Islands, or various others, do you believe that this is going to be a legitimate ground invasion, or he will just do a small expedition in order to leverage the opening of the strait?
It's 1,000 miles long. Like he tried bombing the shoreline. I explained that like 6 times. You can't bomb something the size of Vietnam and try and hit something the size of a gun. Just doesn't work, especially when they're mobile and they can just go underground and come back up again. He can't get it open. If he does a large ground invasion, how it's logistically impossible to do unseen. And if he does a small invasion, it won't work because there's not enough forces. So he just doesn't. What are you going to try and take one of the islands in the Gulf of Oman? Because you're not going to get it deep in the strait. That ain't happening. You could do, and then what? How do you hold it? How do you resupply it? Like they're stuck there. It's a dumb idea. So, but you're right in the fact that he needs something to have that he can leverage and say, I'll give this back if you give that back, kind of thing. Like when Ukraine went into Russia and they were like, well, we'll get out of the Kursk if you'll do this. It didn't work for them, but it was, it was an idea, it was a plan. They don't have any leverage right now. If he really wanted leverage, he could be like, look, if you open the Strait of Hormuz, we'll quit aiding the Israelis. Then, yeah, okay. But he ain't going to do that because he's on film fucking children.
That's that's no comment on that. But just guys, oh, by the way, we're live on X. I think we've got like 4,000 or 5,000 people here. We're live on YouTube. I believe we've got like 1,000 people there. We've got Dan Blazarian, Myron Gaines, and Ryan Dawson here. Although I think Dan keeps glitching out, but he keeps coming back, so no problem. We appreciate him coming on. I know he normally only comes on and says, "I just do it to boost your space."
That's because Dan is in a cave in Iran giving orders.
Oh, that's why they're doing so well. That's why they're doing so well.
Yeah, that's why he's glitching out. He's in the middle of a war.
Okay.
He broke the internet with his comment yesterday. Dan and Scott Ritter have the best replies to people. Like, man, I don't want to be on the receiving end of this. But it was just like, it's like, well, you child molesting, da da da. It was like a spiel. And I was like, man, that's my energy right there. That's how I feel about these people. No mercy. I'm like, desalinate Israel. Like, go ahead, wipe out the water. I don't care. It's not like they die instantly. They can leave. They got the money to leave. Like, empty that place.
I'm on here, by the way. My shit just glitches out every now and then, but I'm listening to you guys.
No, I appreciate it, Dan. I was just appreciating you and the fact that you'd come in, and appreciate the fact that you're standing with, standing against the Israelis, basically.
Standing with
Yeah.
justice.
I was just talking about you earlier, Ryan. I said, fuck, he's like, what's it like to, have been saying this for 3 years and now finally everybody's getting around. I'm like, well, if Ryan's been saying it for about fucking 20 and my uncle's been saying it for 50, so.
30 years up into this. Yeah. Since 1997, that's when they started canceling me and everything. But it's just like, God, It really, the catalyst was 9/11 because that led to Iraq, which led to Syria, which led to October 7th, which leads to Iran. Like, you watch all the people they murder, the way they funded Al Qaeda, they funded ISIS and all these terrorist groups all over the place. And now they're getting their comeuppance. And these billionaires, Gulf Arabs, are just like, they're losing all their money, and the crypto bros and only whores. And they're all like, what do we do? I'm like, who cares? It's a criminal enterprise anyway. And what bothers me and also brings me a smile is like all these people care all of a sudden. Like, you didn't care when 71,000 people, mostly children, were being murdered in Gaza, but gas is $3.50. So now you pay attention, and like, because it affected your life. And that seems to be the general public. Like, they can act like they cared when kids were getting killed, but they didn't really do anything. But when gas prices went up, now it's a global reaction.
And as we were talking, Tel Aviv is being pummeled. Tel Aviv is being hit quite hard as well. So just to let you know, we can talk politics, but Iran's doing the job even as we speak. So appreciate Iran smashing them up.
You know, when I see Tel Aviv get hit with missiles, it makes me cry, because that's what happens when you laugh too hard.
Well, definitely we have a lot of joy and celebration in this space with a lot of boom boom Tel Avivs and some other bish bash bosh not happening. But yeah,
No one deserves it more. No one, like, if it was anywhere else, I'm like, oh, come on, there's some civilians there. But if, like, with Israel, there's doesn't I don't care.
no doubt, no doubt. And they've got an easy opportunity. They could just leave and go to the actual where they came from.
All they got to do is free the hostages, and this would end.
Yeah, release the
Why don't they
hostages.
just go? Why don't they just go to Egypt and Jordan? Huh?
Exactly. Release the hostages. Well, with them, it'll be Antarctica because we don't want to inflict Egypt and Jordan. We don't want to inflict them on Egypt and Jordan either.
Maybe that's why Trump really wanted Greenland. He needs the 110th home.
Oh,
These morons, like, every like actual anti-Semite I meet, and I question them, like, why you like that? It's because of Israel's behavior, and then they just pour that on Jews in general. Yeah, it's like the main cause of anti-Semitism is the self-proclaimed Jewish state.
yeah, I agree with you.
But I don't like Israelis, man. You're like, well, not all. I'm like, you know what I mean. I don't like
I mean,
Israel.
it's the vast.
I don't like they celebrate prison rape, and it is a super majority of the
Exactly.
population that is behind it. It's disgusting. I don't like